Welcome back to the channel, guys. Now in this video it's going to be a live match up at Hampton Springs Fishery near Malpas. Now I haven't been to this venue for a very long time. I used to fish a few silverfish matches and I can't actually remember the last time I fished a carp match, so seen a few results on Facebook, and Colin started running a few open matches on Tuesdays and Sundays, so I thought why not. It's been fishing well, loads of bites to be had, just been stocked with some fish as well, so it makes it an interesting live match. So the match was spread over Meadows and Willow, so we could have drawn either one of them, and it turned out to probably be a really interesting live match, and one for me which when editing back I think you'll enjoy, because sometimes you're not always right what you think, and it just makes it a really interesting watch. So hope you enjoy the video and get stuck into it now for you. Right, welcome everyone. So as you've seen, we're at Hampton Springs today, as I mentioned, and we're on Meadow and Willow, and as you've seen from the draw, I've drawn peg 21 on Willow. Never been on this lake before, I'm just walking around now. So we're on the back end of the section now. All the talk was you need to be round by the bridge, so we're not around there, but I think we're in the middle of this bank over this other side, so I think we've got a little bit of room. I think this is the next peg here, so just walk round. Apparently we're fishing for some carp. We put some stocky carp in, F1s, maybe hiding skimmers. That was a bit of the talk, but I think we're going to be on 17, 18. Yeah, that peg there with the bush. We might have a little gap in the island. We're out the way, round the back, so a long walk probably be do me good. Get some steps in, but yeah, I'm not glad I'm not near that cold water coming in, but not sure what is going to happen. I've never been to this venue on this lake. Not venue, I've been here years ago, but I haven't been to this on this lake before. But there's like a famous bridge in the middle, and that's where naturally 21. So yeah, that's where we are, down this bottom end. Get me peg here. Can't really see anything to my right, so that's the peg at the minute. That island's going to be way too far. Not going to be able to fish there. What I might do is I might just fish a pellet line like 13-14 metres and then throw some maggots short. Maybe something down to this bush, but a bit of a point. But the only thing I'm thinking is, because it's got a bit of a gap, there's a little bit of room, which is good. Not penned in, I don't think. I didn't fancy that peg 17 when I walked around there. It's quite tight there. I feel like if the fish weren't there you'd be struggling, but we've got a bit of room there in between the islands. Never been on this lake, so don't really know. All I know is the flies around that island. The gap there, but we've got a little bit of gap, a little bit of room, so I'm going to walk around now, get the rest of my gear, and we'll get set up and I'll get stuck into it. Right, we're about 4 minutes before the start, so I'll just show you my peg and what I've done. So that's my peg, set up now. Got a bit of corn, some micro pellets, some expanders and some maggots. Now it's quite shallow. 3.5 foot is about what I can get out there. I'm not sure what to expect, to be honest. It's about just over 3 foot short with maggots, and I've got the same depth that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some short, I'm going to catch some that way as well, and then I'm going to fish pellets this way. There's been an odd fish topping. Should have brought a little feeder rod really, because I might have caught an odd fish on that, but there's a lot of fish topping around that island. I've plumbed up down to that bush. It's a little bit shallower there, so maybe I'll catch some carp there late, but I'm not too sure what it's going to be like. I'll show you that bridge. It looks nice up there. Little bridgey area. A few more anglers around there, but when I walked around this morning, that's where it looked like you wanted to be, but it's where we've drawn. I'll have a look. Have a look. Where we've drawn now. I'm going to start at 13 metres on pellets. Obviously I'll film the start, so you'll see. I'm going to start that on pellets, and then I'm going to loose feed some maggots and see how we get on from there. So just need to get my cupping kit out, and then we'll get going, but hopefully get a few bites. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check that. Lines up. just going to pot that long right hand line with probably 50mm maggots just to put some bait in. Just to see. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Got a few people I can see today, so it's not like when we're at Edinburgh we can't really tell what's going on. It's just one of them things where you come to a venue which you don't fish. Put them in. You don't know how. Put that on. It's going to fish. That's my short line, so I'm just going to throw some maggots there. Now there is some silvers and stuff, I might be able to catch them, but just going to start on a nice little expander pellet, if I can find one that's blown up. Water's that cold, it's not done them quick enough. I'm rushing around a bit, but that's what we've done. Let me get that on. Right, to start with, sprinkle it. So I'm just going to fill my sprinkle pot up, about 3/4. I'm going to go out to, probably going to go to 14 metres, say. Just start off with 13 metres. Yeah, I'll try 13. Because someone did mention there's some smaller stocky little fish in this lake they've stocked recently. So what I'm going to do, sprinkle in about 30 pellets. Try and get this section off. So look, I'm done that one. Fish there. Someone did mention that there's some little carp which you just hook one to my right. So the last thing I want to do, if they become the main target fish, is to fish like too far. So 13 is just a nice little way. Just to see if we can get some bites on that. Now you're probably thinking, why didn't a fish start short? That's a little indication. Don't mind catching little stocky fish. But one thing I might do if I do start to catch them is just come a section closer and try there. Just try and get them close as I can so we can just try and catch as fast as we can. We might be able to catch them on maggots, but normally you find with stock fish, they're like pellets, so might be able to get away with maggots on the hook, but I don't think we'll be able to feed maggots. Just going to give it another sprinkle. Don't want to tap it in. Wait to. And try and make that little, use that pot to my advantage. So I'm going to try and. That's it. Oh, yeah, that's a little good size. I need to do something about this. Break down. Well, they are small, them. Nice little left ones. So yeah, could be trying to catch them all day. Try and maggot just to see. That was a quick response though, that. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more maggots short. That might be a bit better place to try and catch them. Happy we had a quick response on that line. Don't get me wrong, if I do start to catch them, I may have to think, maybe just feed a bit of corn long and just see if I can catch some bigger, older fish longer, and then obviously shorter I can concentrate on trying to catch. Some smaller fish. That's what I'm thinking at the minute. I knew they were in it because I spoke to a few people. I knew that. There you go. That's not. That's a bit better, that one. Hey, got an elastic puller. What's this? That was on a single man. Oh, far up one, that's why. It's a bit bigger, that one. I don't mind catching them. It's a little bit bigger. I thought it was going to be a proper fish then. Oh, can't get the hook out of him. Got some proper wedged in that one, that's it. Chuck him in there. Yeah, if I looked him. But if they become a nightmare, then I think I'm going to have to work around that. I don't want to try and target bigger fish when I don't know what to catch. But I don't mind catching one and then a chuck a bit shorter. Just hopefully we can catch them on maggots short. If not, I might have to feed some pellets somewhere. Rattle some pellets in. Flip my rig past. Yeah, so that's one thing at the start. I've got 2 fish straight away. Loose feed that right hand line. But yeah, I was a bit worried about the depth because it's not nice and deep and stuff. It's quite shallow. It's an old lake. Probably nearly 20 years old, this lake. Not far off. But it's obviously settled up over the years and it's a lot shallower than it was, but that's on. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to feed a pellet line somewhere. Let them fish eat maggots. Because that's not even giving me an indication, that fish then. I'm thinking, loose feed some bait short. Catch him on that, then that could be really, really good. What I'm thinking already is if I need to pop some bait long. I might have just to feed a bit of neat corn. Just feed a bit of neat corn on that long pole. Because they're going to be ravenous, them small fish. Yeah, that's a bite there. Yeah, this is going to be... I've started in the wrong place here. Definitely started in the wrong place. I'm getting signs now, so there's a bit of bait going in my peg. Obviously them smaller fish are whizzing round. What I might do is, I might take like 2 sections off and try that. Don't worry about feeding that long line yet. I feel like I could get pestered with that anyway. On that long line. Yeah, definitely gonna take 2 sections off. Fish it a bit closer. I think it'll be about the same depth, so. Yeah, they're not bad that size. I don't mind catching them like that. It's not a bad size actually. Get one a bung of them all day, we'll have a lovely day. Especially if you can chuck maggots in. If you can catch them on maggots, I'll be buzzing. Oh, crap everywhere here. Right. Try and find the plummet. There it is. Yeah, right. Let's have a little plumb up in line with the same bit. Yeah, same depth. Right. I don't mind catching smaller fish. I don't mind this time of year, especially get some bites. But I want to make sure. I'm just going to put a maggot on because I feel like they'll eat that. Single maggot. Sprinkle a bit of micros in. I'm just going to leave that 13 metre line alone because I think that's a bit too far. That. Especially them size fish. If they've just been stocked, this is the thing with new stock fish. They don't take long, they'll literally find that bait. I want to loose feed that line long. That might be too long as well, but if I can catch him at 5-6 metres. Then that'll be a nice little area, but then if I can't catch him there, where I'm going to try and target them bigger fish, because there is some carp. I feel like there is some carp F1s that we're fishing for. Yeah, that's roach actually. That's a roach, that one. Still got a bit of bait in my pot. We'll just stay on this for now. So you're just trying to see where we can get away with, because obviously you won't be able to catch them fish on like a top kit, for example. I don't think you would, but you might be able to catch them at like 5-6 metres, but if you can't, then that might be a good place to fish, like say like my edge line or my short line might be a good place to fish. Just because if them little fish don't want to come close, then that's where we can target some bigger fish. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and just think, right, no, I'm going to catch them all. I don't want to catch any little stuff or smaller stockies, but that's what's all in my peg, that's what we're going to have to catch. It's just about trying to make the most. Just be nice and efficient with these little stockies, but the beauty of this is now, if I feel like I can't get a bite, or it's not going to happen, I can just go back out 13 and just no problem with that. Obviously I've fed a few times, probably said 5 or 6 times, and I was getting indications quickly. I'm just trying to find out where. I haven't got long, it's a 5-hour match, it's not like 6-7 hours where you can waste a bit of time. Just want to try and fish in a nice efficient area. What you might find is just because you've got some feeding fish, you might be able to catch some bigger ones. But I feel like them little fish will pick up a piece of corn if you're just tapping in micros, but if you're just tapping a little bit of corn and just sit and wait and be patient, you might be able to catch them a bit further out. But I'm going to feed that again. Shove me micros in me pot. Try not to catch me hook on that. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking at the minute. Just try and see where we can catch these fish. So you might have to feed a few times before we get a bite, but I am feeding that long maggot line. If they want to eat maggots, that can be really quick. It can lose feed. Can like, yeah, that's about straight away. Yeah, so hopefully we can just catch them there. That's because it's nice and quick that way. And one thing as well, that can speed up. Well, they're not too small actually. That first one was a bit deceiving. That's probably 3 or 4 to a pound, which I don't mind. Be nice and quick with it, especially putting baits on like maggots and stuff instead of just messing around. Now pellets, what I'm going to do is put the right pot on because I haven't got one of them. Right. What I'm thinking now, because they're there, I know that they're going to be there. I'm going to put a pot, a small pot with a big hole in it. So instead of sprinkling, I'm just going to feed in one it, so it just speeds me up. So I can just chuck a bit in there. But one nice thing about having a maggot hook bait is I can feel like it's a one hit now. Just tap them in. Might go a little bit crazy for a little bit, but one thing about a maggot hook bait is hopefully they want to eat maggots. So that short line could be a really, really good place to catch them, because obviously you can lose feed, you'd be nice and efficient. You're not having to fill your pot up, you're not having to feed your bait, just go out, flick your rig in, catch them that way. Be nice and quick. It's the beauty this time of year, you can either, so I'm talking about sprinkling a bit of bait, so put like the ones with the cross mesh top on, it just slows your bait down when you sprinkle it. So you can sprinkle like how many ever you want, from like 3 or 4 pellets to 20 or 30 pellets, but it just causes that rain and it just attracts them. As where this pot, I've just changed it just so I can just feed in one hit to try and speed myself up. But like I say, it's all about learning. I'm just trying to things a little bit too quick, I think, but so I just want to see what I can get away with. if I do this a couple of times and I don't really get a response, I might have to put a thing and feed a few times and fish come in the peg. But I'm going to try and understand how these fish feed as well, because what you might find is sometimes these little ravenous fish, because the way they feed in fish farms and stuff, they're not going to pick up your bait and swim off. So like a £2 F1 will come down and your float will like fly under. As where these will probably just stay there, eat what they can. So sometimes like lifting and dropping it just causes your bait to snatch it. So if it's falling back down, you get a little bit better bite. Yeah, it's a good sign. Yeah, that's that sign then straight away. But then see, now I could have fed again now, but I can't, because obviously I've got that different pot on. Don't get me wrong, I could tap and don't have to tap all my bait out, but it just makes it a bit easier trying to fish a little bit quicker. See, there's not better fish around the island. I just feel like I might have messed up not bringing a little feeder rod, but I wasn't to know. And I don't feel like it's probably not. It is middle of November. I don't feel like chucking a method on the same spot is going to be a perfect way of catching loads and loads of fish, but in the summertime I think it'd be a good tactic because you'd be able to build your peg up. But I just feel like now, see, this is not, for them little fish I need to be getting a bit quicker bites than this. Need to be getting signs as well, sign indications. It's good if your float's moving around. It means there's some fish in your peg, so all you're going to focus on doing is trying to like feed the right amount of bait, put the right hook bait on, so you can catch him that way. Just come back now. Put another little pinch in, see if we get a little response off that. If not, I'm going to literally put that sprinkle pot on and go back to that and see if that makes a difference. Sprinkle some bait, put it straight over the top. Straight away then. A little sign, which is good, which is what I want. Probably not helping them fishing right next to me maggot line, but hopefully you can wean them onto that a little bit quicker. What are we in? 20 minutes in. A bit slow starting, there you go. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is just keep on persevering with this. Yeah, they're not small then, they're a nice stamp. A nice stamp for a new stock fish, so I'm going to keep persevering, keep putting a bit of bait in. Hopefully we can get up to speed. I'll tell you what, I'll keep my clicker on because I feel like it's good to keep up to speed with what we're doing. So 1, 2, yeah, 4 fish we got. So I'm going to keep going, change my pot over, sprinkle a bit of bait in, and see how we go. Right, you join us just as it comes to probably an hour and 20 in, and it's, to be honest, I'm having a great day. Now, since I left you, what has happened is I've caught a couple of fish, caught steady away on that tapping in micros a few with a maggot on the hook. Then I've been loose feeding that right hand line, so I thought, right, I'll just try that just to see if I can catch them stockies on maggots. Flip my rig in, little 4x12, just over 3 foot deep, 4x10, just over 3 foot deep, and the rig actually just sat there, didn't move. I thought maybe they don't want to eat maggots. Just sat there nice and patient. I thought it's to the right where I didn't think I'd really catch. I feel like most of the fish, if there were going to be any here, were going to be this way. It's a little bit wider, the gap in the island, it's a little bit like it's down towards a corner to my right, so even though it's like probably 2 or 3 pegs away, it's still like a little narrow bit of the lake, and next minute it flew under. Flew under with like a nice proper F1. So I think I've had 6 on that, 6 proper F1s on that with a few stockies as well. And I just thought I'd just try this short line after I've been feeding it for an hour. Dropped in and just caught a nice £1.5 F1 as well. So I've got probably 13, 14 fish on my clicker of little stockies and stuff, and then I've probably got 7 or 8 better ones, because I've just had one on this short line, I've had one on that long line as well, so I feel like there's an odd F1 here. Just need to keep it simple now, loose feed that right hand line, just keep that bait topped up on that left hand line with some micros, just in case I need to drop and catch a few fish in between resting these lines, and then obviously persevere with this short line. Now obviously I don't expect this short line to be mega all day, but as the match goes on I might drop on it more and more, but the only bite I've had on it is obviously that bigger fish, and then that fish then. It's so strange though, you don't really get any signs. What's that there? An eye or roach or something? You don't get many signs, then all of a sudden on that, it's an eye. Oh, it's a perch actually, look like an eye. The eyes are going. But yeah, I just feel like, just tick along for now. I don't know what they're catching up there, but I think just keep putting fish in the net, you're going to be hard to beat at the end of the match. It's not like summer months where you're going to need to target big carp late and stuff. I feel like just ticking over, getting a few bites is going to be key, so I'm just going to have one more fish on this line I think, and then go that long line, because it's been really good that. I think I had like 4 in 4 chucks and then big F1s without perched out there now. Yeah, get perched out there, but then drop them. Have a look on that long line. Just a little bit awkward, it's slightly from the right, but I don't mind with the fish we've caught on it. I'll flick him out. And the beauty is with these maggots, just because it's so shallow, I can just keep loose feeding if I can and draw them fish in. I did think I was going to need to pot it at some point, but I won't do that unless I feel like I really need to. But I did catch a few roach before I come off this, which like I say, I don't mind. Just because I'll be topping the fish up. I've had a skimmer, I've had that perch, couple of perch, couple of roach. So just because I don't know the venue, might be a mistake, I don't know. You won't know until the end when you look back on it, but just feel like, see, it's just sat there nice. Just feel like it just sits there nice, wallop. Yeah, there's a proper one. Is that a proper one? Yeah, I think it is. See, that's like textbook of what it's done like. Just loose feed a few. We've just got 9's hollow one. XFS. Size 18, 010. 6-inch hook length. Yeah, this is the thing. If we can catch like 30 or 40 pound of these, plus a few stockies and stuff, you're gonna have. Look at them. These are the sort of fish we've caught on that right hand line, which is mad because you wouldn't think they'd live there, but they're lovely stamp fish. Obviously, if they turn up short or whatever, but you're getting regular bites off them early, I feel like it's a good sign. I feel like everywhere fished well for F1s yesterday. It's weird because that rain, we had a lot of rain Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday night. But it's just important to keep all your lines topped up, so chuck some short just before you go out. Get to your mark, flick your rig in, if everything's in a straight line, and then literally loose feed over the top. Just try and keep it as tight as you can. I felt a pot might be good because obviously I'm sitting and waiting for an odd bite, but I can't complain at the minute. That's a little fish, that one. It's the beauty of it. Why I tried it in the first place is just because you can see the speed you can catch on maggots is a lot quicker than pellet fishing, even though these fish like eating pellets, these little fish. But you've got to like try and compromise and get the best of both worlds. So if I can catch an odd big one, as well as shipping back anything from a roach to a skimmer to an hide or a perch or anything, and you can have a bit quicker weight and a bit easier to catch them. Now the only thing I think I wish I want to do is maybe loose feed in front of me, but I just feel like I don't want to mess up a line or try and bin a line off just because it's a bit awkward just slightly to the right. It's not too much to the right where I've got a fish on an awkward angle. But I'm going to keep that line topped up, just with a few micros every now and again. Just go out with a cupping kit, sprinkle in like 50 micros and just try and keep a few fish in the area. Because you never know, you could go on these maggots and then I might be on like a little pod of F1s and then just not catch them, as where sort of like a fail-safe, that pellet line. If I need to, I can go a little bit further. I think I'm going to bin my idea of fishing corn off, just because I feel like I've got 8 bigger fish now. I don't need to see that short line. I don't need to think that I haven't caught any big fish. I know that I've had 1 short and then long lines as well, so I feel like that's going to be the way to catch them on maggots. And it just depends what I fish near that tree down the edge. If I'm going to catch anything late, that's a bite then. I feel like if I catch, I can catch something in the edge then. But it's that time of year where obviously it's quite cold now. It's been mild really for November, but it's going. You're not trying to attack your peg. Excuse me. You're going to get them tailing up on the top 4 and stuff. That's a bite then. See, I'm missing the odd bite, but because it's so shallow, like say if that was 5-6 foot deep, you'd probably catch them off the bottom, but because it's so shallow, I feel like you need to lose feed regular to try and create that bait falling through the water. Yeah, that's a bite. Oh, it's come off. Stocky, that one. It's one thing that's going to help me. I was just potting bait and you only get really 1 hit. That's nice. Pull that tight. But yeah, that's what's going on. We've got we're doing alright. Nice fishing, to be fair. But that's the best line at the minute. Loose feeding some maggots at 13 metres, which I didn't really speak to many about it. But something that shot me. I just flicked in, dropped in, it didn't move, and I thought that's a bit weird. Maybe because where it is. And then it just went dunk. Nice decent F1. Especially fishing. I've just fished nice and light, like I said. 4x10. 0.10 bottom, and I've just got like an 9's holler. Because I don't want a dead heavy elastic. Obviously, like I said, I can hook anything from a little stocky up to obviously like a 2 or 3 pound F1, or I don't know, I haven't seen any carp get caught, but I've heard an odd one top and they're quite big, so if we hook one of them it would be interesting, but hopefully, because it's like a sort of canal to my right, like an island probably 17-18 metres away, I don't feel like you've got loads of space to go and run. As we're in open water, if you hooked them, they just probably could just swim off. But and it's not as prolific as it was. It was a lot more bites than this before. But like I said, the first time I went on this one, it was like a little bit slow. But everything you caught was big, which I feel like when you're catching 3-4 ounce fish, it can make a massive difference. But so I've just loose fed again now, and it's probably expecting to miss a bite or get a bite now, just because I feel like fish aren't just going to sit in your peg all the time because of the depth, and that's what I think's stopping them coming a little bit closer. What's evident is, yes, they're probably the size of fish that you need to catch close and short, but because of the depth and obviously time of year, they want to be like that 30 metre line. Obviously the further you out, the more fish you can hold out there, so the quicker you can get some bites. But as the day goes on, I feel like they might drift in, especially them bigger fish. So that maggot short could be really, really good for them bigger F1s if there's a few about. Oh, tiny little perch. If you're getting tiny perch, that one. Just have a little look again. If not, I can literally just put my pellet rig on, ship 5 or 6 stockies back dead quick, let everything settle down. Don't want to just plod on the line where I'm not going to get any bites. It's nice loose feeding. Been quite aggressive with loose feed just because I don't know what. I feel like there's obviously some smaller fish in here, and if you feel like there's 20 or 30 of them stockies in your peg, you're feeding 10 or 15 maggots, they're not even going to get anywhere near to the bottom. It's evident someone's eating it now. What's that now? It's a bigger one, I think. See, this is what I mean. Just need to be patient. When you're filming, just be nice and patient. Stop being an idiot and trying to catch too quick. I feel like, I don't know what target I'm fishing for. I feel like I've seen a couple of club results off here, and £50 won the lake, but no one really said anything. Look at that lovely light fishing. Look at that. Oh yes. Lovely. Look at that one. Pristine. Looks like never been caught, man. I don't know why I can't get the hook out. There you go. But yeah, that's one thing I never thought I didn't think we'd catch a lot of them bigger fish, but obviously I didn't know the lake, so just goes to show what, you know, what I feel like. The key at the minute is just not gonna waffle on for too long now. Feed that short line, just keep it topped up. Key at the minute is just keep loose feeding this, keep plodding on with it, catching the right stamp fish. So you keep that left hand line topped up in case you need it. Never know, what might happen is later on you might get like less stockies feeding, you might catch them few, or they might drift off or something, and you just tap some pellets in and catch some better stamp fish. So I feel like that's where the fish are at the minute, and out and further out. So 2 long lines, keep ticking over them, being nice and patient on this right hand one, just because see I had 2 on camera now, them decent stamp fish. Not going to need loads of them to get yourself towards. I don't know what target to set me. The way I started, probably going to say 50 odd pound, but £70 won Meadows the other day, but there was a little bit less than there was on there today, but obviously not on that lake, or on this one. Willow right at the bottom. So it's nice actually, went around my float, that one. It'll be evident now, you'll get a little sign if you don't get a bite, just a little sign of a fish coming in your peg, which they are. Let's bite straight. There you go. What's that? It feels foul up, but it's a bit bigger. I might be wrong. Could ping off. But yeah, it's so evident this time of year especially. A little bit of loose feed. Nice and light fishing. Come on, be in the mouth. There he is. Another one. See? Crazy. Didn't even think there was that many F1s in this lake. No one really mentioned them. I think Colin that run the match said it's big carp fishing, but God knows. Yeah, it's a nice one, that one. That's in the mouth as well. See that as soon as you lose feed. Which is good, because if I wasn't catching loose feed, then I'd probably have to party and be a bit patient. Look at that, nice golden one, that one. £1.50. Get him out. So right, I'll chuck this in. I'm going to plod on, catching hopefully a boatload more of them, but that's a little insight at the minute. That right hand line's been really good. Probably got 10 or so of them now. 10 or so of them now. And a few stockies in the left hand there. So I'll keep plodding on and come back when a little update what's going on. Now, sorry to interrupt the video, but don't forget to like and subscribe. It just helps with the channel, and I'll let you get back to the rest of the video now. Now we're just coming up to 2 hours to go, and it's been a bit like it was before, a bit samey. I haven't had a look short again. I've been feeding it, but that long right hand maggot line's been the place to be for them bigger stamp fish. a big perch on it as well. But this line here where I am now is just my ticking over line. I can catch I can get a bite every single time I drop it in. So what I've found is them fish come in bursts. I tried potting it, trying to be clever, trying to feed 10 or 15 and just sitting there and waiting, but I foul hooked 2 or 3 every time I've done it. So loose feeding's been best again on that. So I've just kept it nice and tight, keep it nice and regular going in. That was me then being stupid, trying to do 2 things at once, but just prick one up. Yeah, with this line here, you can literally get a bite every time I go on it. And I'll just put a formal expander on just because I feel like them F1s are, there's an odd big F1 there. I feel like I'm more likely to catch one on a formal expander than I am a maggot, and I'm still the ratio's not any different. Can't get a bite on an expander, not really much quicker on a maggot either. What I'm going to do is just concentrate a little bit, because what you can find is if you try and do too much, you miss a few bites and you're not nice and smooth. As where this line's just been 13 metres, just bottom of that. I don't know if it comes up across just the deepest part of the peg there, really, just over 3.5 foot. One thing that's noticeable though on this line, it obviously to the left, as the match has gone on, there's been less and less indications, so I do feel like there is a few, pardon me, a few of them stocky fish about still, but it's not frantic and stuff like it was the first hour. You can imagine, like you imagine you feed straight away, then fish are going to fly in and try and hunt round and try and hunt for them pellets, but as you put more and more in, you're just going to fill them up a little bit. But we had a dead simple match. It's funny because of that line to my right, it's been my best line by miles just because of the stamp of the fish, but it was just a sort of a throwaway line. It looked it didn't look the best bit where I'd think like there'd be any fish. I just thought, you know what, I'll loose feed some bait that way, and if I can catch an odd stocky or an odd skimmer or an odd roach on it, maybe. I didn't know what to expect. That's the nice thing about coming to a venue you've not been for a while, and stuff changes, like stocking changes. And if you're not coming on regular, sometimes it's a nice surprise. Now, you've got to get fallen into the trap of maybe listening. I didn't really ask anyone. I asked a fella that I work with. He comes on a few club matches. He just said it was full of little fish. They can be quite a pain, but doesn't bother me too much. But no one really knew. Everyone just said you needed to be around that bridge. That's when I drew probably second furthest away I could from it. Obviously you feel like the spirits are down, but obviously I'm doing something a little bit different. Doing something a little bit different, and not to the norm. At least feeding some maggots. I just feel like because of the depth of the water, it's just a nice way to catch them. Obviously, these are the ones that have just been put in. Nice stocky fish, brilliant to catch this time of year especially. But say it keeps everything a bit interesting. You're not just sitting there for one big carp. But that loose fed maggot line has been the way to go. Now I don't know whether it's just because where I'm sat, that's where there's a few F1s sat to the left there, and that's why it's worked, or would you catch on it around the lake? I don't really. You have to come on a few more times to see if that would be the case, but I don't feel like it's something a lot of people do on this lake. When people spoke to me about carp fishing, so I feel like obviously with a lot of pellets and corn fishing, setting traps and fishing short and in the edges, I feel like that's a lot of the things that people do on it. I don't really know. Been a lot of fish in between that gap to my left there. Does make me think like a little feeder might have been really good across there. But you know, a lot of, you can get a bite of chuck. That's the main thing I want to stick with today. And probably I feel like if I didn't catch them bigger F1s and I don't feel like I had a line, I feel like this part of the match now, you feel like if you go nowhere with them smaller fish, but they'll weigh a little bit more than you think. And to be honest, you might waste time and just get nowhere without trying to catch them. But because I've got probably 15 or so big F1s now, probably going to go 25, 30 pound. And then some stockies and stuff, say I've got 10 pound, that's 35, 40 pound the last 2 hours now. Probably going to catch, I'd say 15 to 20 pound if it goes half all right and we don't have a disaster. What I am going to do in a minute though is going to feed some pellets on that bush. Just feel like you might be able to catch some carp if there is any about. It's 2.5 foot deep on that bush, so it's a nice little depth. It's quite flat as well. Just a little dink and a half that was. Don't get me wrong, I feel like when I got here, because I don't really know the lake at all, because I've never been on it, everything that was moving and topping was like around the island. So me thinking, that's a bit better one. Me thinking that I couldn't get near the island, maybe a mistake, but obviously, see, there's a fair few fish that can live down the middle on here. That's the thing, sometimes you don't know everything. It's about just fishing, attacking your peg. We're having a lovely day, I've had loads of bites. I think I've hardly come back without a bite, to be honest. Which, for the middle of November, I don't think you can moan about. But still little things you can learn, like being nice and positive on that loose feed line. Now, because of the depth, I don't feel like they will come off the bottom. That's the beauty of it. If it was, say, 5 foot deep, I feel like 4.5, 5 foot deep, I feel like fish could drift off the bottom, give you liners, give you foul lookers. You might catch shallow, but because of the way the bottom is there, it's nice and flat. Not too deep as well. I just feel like any fish that come in, it's so evident that loose feeding's got to be the way. They just sit out your peg and they'll come in, eat your bait and go back out, because it's not deep enough for them to sit in your peg like half depth. Lay that back in. And these are definitely not, they've not slowed up, because obviously I'm getting a bite. Or coming back with a fish most times, but before it's literally you feed your bait, drop your rig in, hold it tight, everything at the bottom and it just dinks under. But I just feel like there might be an odd better fish around that line now. It's the beauty of that sprinkle, you can just, instead of coming back, you just literally tap a few pellets in again. Normally see that little noise, it just attracts a fish in. And that short line fed as well. Because we do have some bigger F1s turn up there. But for this last 2 hours, I'm thinking be a bit reluctant to just plod along with the left on line, and we're probably going to have to try and focus on maybe trying to catch a few fish on that long pole, obviously, because that's my little banker big fish line. But then obviously try and incorporate that short line. If the fish come short, they can catch an odd fish, but definitely I feel like I get an odd bite in the edge. Or at least got to try it. Especially where it is. Like, I think you can see, but where the lake, it like comes out in a little point and goes back round on itself, and I just feel like that could be like a little passage of the fish coming through it. Near enough for a short line where the hump comes out. So see, the sun's getting up now. It's heat in the water and stuff's changing, so what you might find with this line as well is, the more you start feeding, the more, obviously, more bait you start putting in, the more fish you're going to drag into your peg. So you just keep working that rig. That's been key today. If you feel like there's a fish on the end, or there's been a sign or a wobble, just lift it up, drop it back in again. You'd be surprised what is actually a bite sometimes with these smaller fish. Don't get me wrong, you could try and put a shot close to your hook length to try and register it, but I just feel like it hinders your presentation. Sometimes you just got to just go for the motions with it. It's a little one, that one. They're getting smaller on that one. Anything I could do is that, with that edge, is feed some maggots, but I just feel like I could just sit there a bit more carpy. I feel like the depth could be important because I don't feel them stockies will come really shallow in that edge. They've been, I spoke about in the last thing, the place to be has been 13 metres. Obviously you've seen at the start, I tried to be clever and tried to bring in like 7 sections, but it didn't really work that. Went back out to 13, it's regularity of bites, which is what I need. As where short is like a very sparingly biting, odd biting, it's just not going to put a weight together, as where that's what probably I need in the edge, not loads of smaller fish, but if any bigger fish come in, that's where I can attack them, or attack it to try and catch them. But like I said, I don't want to pinpoint and target bigger fish. I just still feel like you've got to take them as they come. Hopefully we can catch. That's a nice little, that was a proper dig, that one. Still only a little stocky, but you can see it's just nice steady away fishing. It's a little bit bigger, is it? No, just a nice little, nice steady away fishing, but just putting fish in the net, about being busy. That's what I think I don't mind this time of year. See, in the summer months you'd be tearing your hair out thinking that's not quick enough, but so just getting a nice little rhythm. Still trying to plan my match, try and give me the best finish I can. So I'll keep persevering, just catch one more on this. There's one thing as well, that sprinkle, you can just fill it up. Try not to turn your pot over when you come back, you won't spill any in your peg, and then you can literally get 3 or 4 fish, even 5 fish off one little pot if it's right. You don't need to feed a lot, but so just all about that movement in the rig. And what you'll find is as well, if you're lifting and dropping for these smaller stock fish, it just attracts them as well. They see it and they'll just grab it. As well, sometimes I like it. I feel like when there's bigger fish in your peg, you just sit there and be patient, and that's the best scenario. Yeah, there's an odd fish in that gap, which is mad. Definitely see like why a little feeder could be really good in the summer, just off the edge of that island, but you never know, them fish could just drift. That's where I feel like the bulk of the fish would have been today, but obviously we've caught them a lot better to the left, to the right, sorry, than the left, which is crazy. Now I did think about changing this to maggots, just potting some in and seeing if that worked, but when I potted, a bit bigger, when I potted some into the right, obviously I fouled up the few, so I just thought, you know what, don't change it, keep it the way it is. But that's what we're going to do for now. Plodding on, still catching loads of fish. Obviously we've seen all the lines, so which is nice. It's not been a bit one-dimensional. We're having to move and rotate, even though we are catching fish, we're still moving and rotating and preparing lines. So I'll keep feeding that short line, keep feeding that long line, and then we're thinking about feeding that edge in a minute. So that's where we're at. We're doing okay, catching a few fish, just enjoying it. So I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, just a little update. We're coming up to last hour now. I'm just getting on that right hand maggot line, it's just getting stronger and stronger, so we're catching a few more F1s on it. I've had a little look short as well before, And caught one on it there, but it was a bit slow. It was a lot slower than that long line, but I feel like that could come good if we keep feeding it. But I'm just going to feed that edge with put some micro pellets with some corn in. Literally just been catching them on that right hand line. Now it's so evident when there's an F1 in your peg. Loose, chuck my top kitten. What a brat. Don't be doing that. I was proper lobbing in. Getting excited. Oh, what noodle. Right, that's one way to lubricate your top kits. Sent me off track now, made me laugh that. Right, so yeah, that right hand line has been the line to be on, which is crazy because if you said to me at the start, I'd have probably said that left hand line would have been a lot better, but like I said, I didn't know what I'm fishing for or what size fish or what was in the lakes. Now I might just be on the F1 bit, I don't know, but so evident normally if you're going to catch any small fish, you catch them quite quick, and then next minute you feed again, flick your rig in, sit there, just everything nice and patient, and it just dinks. It's one of them nice F1s. Now I must have had 20 odd of them now. So we've probably got like 50, I want to say 40 to 50 pound of them, and then whatever we've got in a silverfish net. So you could have like 60 odd pound now with an hour to go. Might have a bit less, I don't really know with obviously what the stamp of them fish are going to be, but they feel quite big. I've had some big ones as well, like 2.5 pound. Yeah, that was a nice bite, but maybe a little close or something, I think. It's crazy, I think I've had a load of different fish today. I've had some roach, I've had some chub, I've had skimmer, I've had a perch, I've had a crucian, and I don't know whether it's fishing hard, but people keep shouting across the lake and they're saying they're not catching much, but I won't believe what I can see. The fella to my right is just catching the small stocky fish, but to be fair, it doesn't look nice for bigger fish there. I feel like this is probably the last peg on this bank that the bigger fish are going to sit in, really. I don't think they'll go that bottom end. It's a bit narrow and tight, but so it's crazy when you think, well, that's going to be the best way to catch because it looks nice, but literally this throwaway line has been the best line. They get loads of bites on it. We've not had many of them stockies on it, but that's a bite. What's that? A skimmer. Yeah, I think so. See, roach, skimmer, F1. Oh, come off, pulled it off. Been hooked under the chin, that one. Just dead simple fishing. Slew feeding a few maggots. Double maggot on the hook, but yeah, it's a little update of what's going on. It's going lovely, to be fair. I've not had a bite of chuck. Normally some live matches can be a bit of a nightmare and you can get things wrong, but because I don't really know what to expect yet, I've not been on this lake, I can't really see anyone, I don't know weights, and I could have been fishing for 30-40 pound at the start, but then bite that straight away. Oh, pull that one off again. You have little runs of this now where you catch an odd small fish and it goes a bit pear-shaped, and then all of a sudden it just goes dunk dunk. But like I said before, I think that's the depth thing. That I feel like it was a little bit deeper, sit in your peg a little bit longer and you get a little bit more runs, but you just got to take them as they come. But yeah, it's good. It's easy for me to say, like somewhere like Western, I roughly know what's going to win and what weight you need to fish for, but when you come to a venue you don't come often, and on the lake you don't really know what's in it. You can go what people say, but sometimes people don't fish the same way as you. So sometimes being a bit more open-minded can be really good. I normally like to think when I come to the peg, just like to think what fish am I fishing for and then target them areas. But so this right in line's been nice. It's gone a bit quiet now, so hopefully it just falls into place and it just dinks under like I've said. But this is what normally happens, you get like a little run of some roach, and have an odd stockier roach, very odd like skimmer or chub or something, and then all of a sudden it'll sit there. And either when you loose feed over the top or just sit there and be nice and patient, and it'll dink and you just catch a nice F1. And you probably would have caught them on pellets as well, but just because there's so many stocky fish, I don't feel like they're going to get a chance, and they don't want to mingle with them sort of fish. I feel like if them stockies started eating pellets, then maggots, then this wouldn't be as effective. But I think sometimes you've got to find the bait which you don't get mired by smaller fish on. But they're wrong, sometimes they can eat maggots, sometimes they won't. But whether it's because of the area, there's more fish to the left where it's a bit more open. It's lovely fishing. Sit there, be nice and patient, just dinks under. It's crazy as well. I thought like tidying up with a pot would be really good, like maybe just tapping in like 15, sitting and waiting, but it just causes foul lookers and missed bites. I think they like it falling through and going around and picking it up because it's shallow. Just attracts them in the peg. There's a little dink there. Yeah, I'm probably going to start having a look at that short line again, because it's getting that time of match now where I maybe need to try a short line as well. But normally that's the case. What happens is your long line goes good, and then if you can time it right and drop in short or the edge, you can get another little run of him. Let's see if we get one, because it has gone quiet. It's interesting as well, you're not like, when I've dropped on this line and caught F1s, it's never been like one out the blue. It's always been like 2 or 3. And then nothing for like 5 to 10 minutes, then 2 or 3. Just shows that little shoals coming in and out your peg. And once you start understanding that, you can sort of like rotate that over lines. You've seen them on the last clip. That pellet fishing, just nice and simple, rattling a few pellets in. Nothing complicated. Just ticking over and putting fish in the net. Yeah, they may be small, but you'd be surprised at the end of the match when you weigh them in between your bigger fish. That's the thing that's been helped me today, is I caught them bigger fish in the first hour. Normally, like, it can be quite hard if you come onto a venue and just putting small fish in your net all the time. But like I said, you've got to have patience and just think what realistic target you're going to fish for. Obviously, because I've not known the venue, and I feel like I've drawn on a decent area with some F1s in. I know everyone's head up the bridge, but obviously if you're going to catch some fish, you've seen your peg, you can't just think you're not going to work miracles off a bad peg. But obviously drew on some fish today, but maybe if I drew on a carpy bit, this wouldn't be as effective, and my pellets would have been. But so you just got to catch what's in front of you. Nothing like you can feed fed two different lines long. Fed one with micros, one with maggots. Obviously the one with the maggots has been where the bigger fish are. The one with the micros has been where the bites are. It's been good as well. Like, yes, we have had a few roaches, a few skimmers and stuff, but we've not been mired by tiny silvers. So obviously they're not in here, which is a good sign. In those venues up and down the country, you sometimes get mired by small silvers, and it makes fishing maggots really difficult. But you keep persevering with that, and then we'll pop back when we'll have a little look on that short line later on, as we're coming into that last we're coming into the last hour now of the match. We're well into it actually. yeah, 10 minutes or so. So we'll come back when we're dropping on that short line. Right, so you join me now with about 12 minutes left, and we've just had a nice little run. There's some fish feeding on that longer line, but just want to see whether I can catch any fish short, because I dropped on it last time and didn't catch anything. But I feel like the light's gone now. This last hour has been a bit strange. I think it's just because the temperature's dropped, gone a little bit colder. I feel like it knocked the fish in a little bit, because I couldn't really catch any F1s for like probably 20-30 minutes, and then all of a sudden they just turned back up again. Now, we did have a look in that left hand point, sort of edge peg, but literally I just got, I think it was 3 or 4 stockies on it. I just thought, no point doing that. I think because I've had micros, probably attracted them in it, but I don't feel like, I think if I was only going to feed anything there and anything, catch anything there, I feel like I should have just fed maggots, because I feel like that's the bait which them little stockies don't really want to eat. Don't get me wrong, I feel like you do catch an odd fish on them, and you do probably had 10 or 20 throughout the day on it, but not as much as when you would if you just tap pellets in. Now this short line is probably, I've had an odd fish, but I just feel like it's a little bit too cool for this line. Don't feel like for any fish to come there, they're going to have to come a long way from the island, and I feel like that's where most of the fish are probably hiding. Obviously, because I'm loose feeding that long line and it's a little bit further away from me, that right hand line, I feel that just attracts fish. But this has been like, every time we've had a bite on it, hasn't been like a sail away and dead confident bite, it's been like a little stab, which out there I could understand, but when the fish are coming to 5 metres, I feel like that's where they're going to eat. But big carp's just come up and looked at that, looked down the middle there. Now maybe if we didn't have all that rain, like later on in the week that we've had, it stayed a little bit milder because it was cold at night time, then your short lines and edges would be good. Now that's one thing I noticed about sort of like winter fishing, it's so dependent on the weather. So one week you might not catch short, one week you might catch, you would go a little bit warmer and you might get a couple more bites short, and sometimes it's better to fish longer because you get more chance of getting some bites. But just wanted to have a little look on this line just to see if I could catch anything, because they were a big decent size when you got one, but just feel like that longer line, that's been the place to be today. It's crazy as well, the fella to my right, he's caught like just small fish all day, but he's dropped on his middle line like probably the last 20-30 minutes and started to hook some proper F1s, so I feel like I've been lucky to catch him early. There's odd people saying there's people catching in the edge and stuff up the lake, but I can't see anything. So it's hard to, I'm not going to start making decisions just off people shouting. But looking back at the match, I've had an actual really nice match. Just literally had a bite of chuck on most lines. Especially that right hand line, it's shocked me that has. Because if you look at the peg, it just looks like a bit of nothing. As where it's been the best line. It's where the most fish have been. But is it because of a loose fed, or this is the thing, it's nice to get back on venues, little bubbles, come on then. Nice to get on venues and learn a bit about them. That's what I've loved about my fishing at Ehrenbrook at the minute, is I feel like I'm sat there and trying to always learn. Now don't get me wrong, I love going to Western, but I sort of know what's going to happen sometimes. Because I've done it so much, but come to venues like one-off things, it can catch you out, it can get you thinking, it can take it back to a different match. But this has been really interesting, and it's been nice to get back on this venue. But I've actually, because I've never been on this lake. Now I don't think there was F1s in this lake years ago, I think that's happened over a few years, so I wasn't really sure there was an odd F1 in. There's been an odd fish around that point as well, cruising around, topping and stuff. It just makes sense, like, for the fish to be that way. 6 minutes left. I'm going to have a little look at that long line just because I don't want to sit there for 10 minutes and not do anything. And what I've had to do here is I've just moved me. It's about 2 inches difference from short to long, so I've literally set 3 rigs up. It's a bit late. Oh, tangle. It's a bit late to my peg, and then setting up, I just thought, because I didn't really know what to do, I didn't want to set a load of stuff up, which I think is important. Just set a pellet line up, a maggot line up, and when I've plumbed it up, obviously it's been near enough the same depth. I thought I'm not getting out another rig just to compensate 2 inches. So there you go, that's a bite on the drop straight away. What's that? A big F1. Not sure if I've gone over its back. But yeah, I've just fished nice and light. That rig there is just a 4x10 XS F1 float. Nice 1.7mm tip so I can see it. I think that's important as well with... That was in the mouth. It's important with things like this, just in being able to see the visible bristle. That's the first carp of the day. Look at that. Probably that one I've just seen actually. There we go. Nice little comment. You can imagine. Oh, trying to get him. Hook's come through his mouth. A nice little comment. First carp of the day. Could be the last fish of the day as well. Oh, some bigger maggots there. I've just been putting 2 red maggots on. I've just got some newer ones behind me, which I haven't used, but just a little bit bigger. I like that for the hook bait. But it's a thing if that's a little £3 carp, but no problem on that 9 holler. Be nice and aggressive with a feed and just try and get it so important. Just try and get as much as you can around your float. Just makes it a little bit easier, especially when loose feed's the only option. Normally I like to pop around with my pot and my catty in and tighten things up, then loose feed, but literally as soon as I put a pot on a foul look of fish, just feel like just because it's so shallow, it's a little bit too much bait in a small area. If it's a little bit deeper, I think I'd be able to get away with it, but I can't today, and it's crazy, like the fish do tell you that. So if you feel like you're on your match and you foul looking an odd fish, and just try loose feed and just being a bit more patient. That's what I've found as well. Doesn't have to go under every single 10 seconds of it going in, but just being nice and patient. You imagine them fish going around picking up the maggots. You've got double maggot on, so it's a big visible hook bait. So if they're fish, they're greedy, they'll home in, especially when they're competing. So it's just about being nice and patient. Just want to sit there, but had a mint little match. Especially not knowing the lake. I feel like I got away with one on this loose feed line, but it might be one of them things that people don't. Yeah, it's a bite. Oh, it's a roach. That's the beauty of it. 1 minute you catch a carp, 1 minute you catch a roach. Not a bad size. Dumpy. What you say, imagine it's all about getting bites this winter. Working your lines. Trying to catch what you can. Might have time for one more. Yeah, 2 minutes. Come on. See, I don't feel like I'll get one now because I feel like it's a bit too quick for a bite. So the bites we've been having have been like, apart from that, I feel like that carp had it on the drop. Apart from that carp, you have to wait nice like 2 or 3 minutes. Let's just go dunk. Slides away, or dinks away. At least you caught a carp. did feel like we'd catch one on pellets and stuff, but said maybe if it's a little bit warmer in the week, them carp might have drifted across and you might be able to catch in your edge a little bit, but I feel like now it's going to get to the point. That's like, what's that? That's a decent F1. It's going to get to the point now where it's not really going to happen. That's a nice bite, that was. Nice F1 to finish on, but yeah, it's been nice, that maggot line. It's been interesting. They're a nice size. I like peas in the pod, all look the same. Can't get a look out of him. Quickly try and get 2 on, just in case we get a chance to get one, but I don't think we will. But yeah, it's been nice on that line. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have caught short, but I feel like a little bit too wide, this peg. So they've got a long way to come to try and get to you. But can't be a day just loose feeding maggots. Catching on a nice light rig. There we go. That's the all out, so I'm going to get what I weighed, packed up can. I don't want to get in anyone's way when I'm weighing in. Ooh. But yeah, we've had a nice day. Won't take me long to pack up. If I can get my top kit off. Get it off there. Won't take me long to get packed up. I've only got a couple of rigs to pack away, but yeah. That pellet line's been a nice tick over. We've had an odd bite short, but nothing to write home about. But that right hand maggot line, which is crazy. I never thought I'd get a bite that way. Just because it looks a bit barren and stuff. That looks a lot nicer that way, but that's the way we've caught. We've had some nice F1s. We had a brilliant day's fishing, so get weighed in and get to see how we've got on. Right, so we're all weighed in now. We weighed 71 pounds, which has won this lake, and it's actually won the match as well, because we were in with Meadows as well. So a nice little match win on the live match, but a really interesting but a really good match. I've had a brilliant day's fishing. I've had probably £50 of F1s and then £20 of bits and bobs. So nice day's fishing. And I can't believe, literally, that line, middle of nowhere, to the right, has been the best line on maggots. Now, I've heard a lot of people saying about catching smaller stockies, and it just came apparent they didn't really want to eat maggots, which I think's helped me today, because I've been able to, they've not been in the peg, so then big F1s are able to come in, and it's just about being patient and being nice and efficient, but being constant feeding. Because it's so shallow, about 3 foot deep, just that constant feeding, going through the water, nice light rigs, that 4x10s, XF F1, little strung out shotting pattern, nice light hooks, XFS to 010, size 16 or an 18, whichever you depending on size of your maggots and stuff. Just been a brilliant day's fishing. Tick over on pellets. Short line, wasn't very good, but I didn't expect it to be. I feel like if you were by the bridge, I think you could catch a few short, just because I feel like a few more volume of fish. That's where I just feel like the most of my fish are on that 13 metre line. But where it goes to them points, it goes a lot narrower, so I feel like the passing traffic will come to that short line a little bit quicker. But brilliant day's fishing, lovely live match, so hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.